There was a young man named Zain, 21 years old, living in a small, quiet town called Harper, surrounded by green hills. His family was struggling financially. His father, Asif, worked as a tailor. His mother, Nadia, did embroidery work at home. And his little sister, Hira, was just 9 years old, who looked up to Zain as a hero. Zain had one big dream. He wanted to start his own business and give his family a better life. But every time he thought about it, the same question stopped him. Where do I even begin when we have nothing? One quiet evening, he sat on the rooftop staring at the stars and whispered to himself, I want to change our lives, but I don't know how. His father, Asif, heard him from downstairs and came up, sat beside him, and said gently, Son, dreams are never free. You have to pay for them with hard work and patience. Now stop staring at the stars and start thinking about what you can do tomorrow. Those words stayed with Zain, and he could not sleep that night. The next morning, he walked around his town and noticed something simple but important. There was no fresh food available in the mornings, and people had to travel far just to get breakfast. That was his moment. He decided he would sell fresh, homemade snacks near the main chowk every morning. But there was one big problem. He had no money, no equipment, and no experience. He thought for a long time and then decided to approach a local cook named Ustad Karim, a strict and serious man who was known for never trusting anyone easily. Zain walked up to him with confidence and said, Ustad ji, give me your snacks to sell for 1 week. I have no money to pay you up front, but I promise I will return every single rupee and keep only a small amount for myself. Ustad Karim looked at him from head to toe and said, Why should I trust a boy with empty pockets? Zain looked straight into his eyes and replied, Because I have something more valuable than money right now, and that is my determination. There was a long silence, and then Ustad Karim said, Fine, 1 week, but if you fail, do not show me your face again. Zain agreed without hesitation. From the very next morning, Zain woke up at 4 a.m. every single day, collected the snacks from Ustad Karim, set up his small space near the chowk, and greeted every single person who walked by with a warm smile and loads of energy. People were hesitant at first, but Zain offered free samples, and slowly one by one customers started coming. By the end of that first day, everything was sold, and Zain returned to Ustad Karim and placed every rupee in his hands. The old man counted the money, nodded slowly, and said, Come back tomorrow. Weeks passed, and Zain kept working without a single day off. He woke up before sunrise, worked through the heat, and came home exhausted every night but happy. After 2 months, he had saved enough to buy a small cart, which made his work easier and faster. Then one regular customer said to him one day, Zain, you are great at selling, but why don't you cook the food yourself? You would earn so much more. The idea hit Zain like a spark, but it also frightened him because he had never cooked professionally in his life. But then he remembered his father's words, dreams are never free. So he gathered his courage and went to Ustad Karim and asked him to teach him how to cook. The old man frowned and said, If I teach you, then you will stop buying from me, and that is bad for my business. Zain looked at him calmly and said, You are right, Ustad Ji, but I will never forget the man who gave me my first chance. If I grow, I will make sure your name grows with me. Ustad Karim was quiet for a long moment and then finally said, All right, but cooking is not easy. It takes patience, practice, and sacrifice. If you are truly ready, then come tomorrow at 3 a.m. Zain was there the next morning before Ustad Karim himself had even arrived. The lessons were tough. His hands hurt. His first attempts were disasters. Some days the food was too salty. Some days it was completely burnt. And one evening, after ruining yet another batch, Zain sat on the floor of the kitchen feeling completely defeated and thought to himself, maybe I am just not good enough for this. But then his father's voice echoed in his mind again, and he stood back up. He went home, slept for a few hours, and came back the next morning with even more energy than before. Slowly, very slowly, things started improving, and after 3 weeks, Ustad Karim tasted his food, closed his eyes for a moment, and said, This is good, Zain, you are ready. Zain rented a small stove, started cooking at home, and his family rallied around him. His mother Nadia packed the food neatly every morning, and little Hira would wake up early just to help her brother before school. Soon Zain was not just selling samosas, he added rolls, pakoras, and homemade drinks to his menu, and the people of Harpur absolutely loved it. They said nobody makes food like Zain in this whole town. But success never comes without its tests. One day a new food stall opened in town run by a young man named Bilal who had a big colorful setup with lights and banners, and people were naturally curious and started going to him instead. Zain watched his sales drop and felt fear creeping in. But instead of panicking, he did something smart. He went around and asked his own customers honestly, what does Bailil do better? What can I improve? People told him his presentation needed work and his menu needed variety. So Zain used his savings, decorated his cart, added new items, and started offering free samples of his new dishes again, just like he did on day one. Slowly, his customers came back, and this time they brought new ones with them. Months went by, and Zain saved enough to rent a small shop. It was nothing fancy, but it was his. He painted it himself. His father helped him fix the shelves. Hira made a little sign for the door that said, Zain's Kitchen, and his mother cooked alongside him every morning. The shop became the warmest place in Hapur. People came not just for the food, but for the feeling it gave them. And then one stormy night, as Zain was closing up, he smelled something burning and rushed inside to find a fire starting near the stove. He managed to stop it, but his equipment was badly damaged. The next morning, when people heard what happened, some said, It is over for him now. Zain stood outside his damaged shop, took a deep breath, and said out loud, This is just another test, and I have passed harder ones before. He started cooking from home again with whatever little he had left. He told his customers, I will not let you down, even if it is just a little each day, I will keep going. The people of Harper saw his spirit, and something beautiful happened. Neighbors brought ingredients, old customers donated small amounts of money, and some people came just to help him clean and repair. Zain realized that when you refuse to give up, the world finds a way to support you. After months of rebuilding, Zain reopened his shop, and it was better than ever before. On the day of the reopening, the townspeople gathered outside, and an elderly woman from the crowd came forward and said, I have lived long enough to see many young people quit when things got hard, but you never did, and that is why we all believe in you. Zain stood in front of everyone with his family beside him and said with a full heart, nothing in this life is free. Not success, not respect, not love. Everything must be earned. Every fall must be faced. Every lesson must be learned. But I promise you this, if you never give up, life will never truly beat you. And from that day, Zain's kitchen was not just a food shop, it was a symbol of what one young man with empty pockets but a full heart could build when he refused to stop trying.